really quick, I think you said on the body count thing, like, a guy who has a high body count, it's hypocritical if he wants a girl with a low body count. I disagree.
Really? No.
Now, I don't think it's good for anybody to be promiscuous or have a high body count, right? I don't think it's good for men. I don't think it's good for women. However, if a man has accrued a higher body count, let's say, I think it's totally fine if he recognizes that the optimum dating choice would be to date someone who has a low body count or who's a virgin. I don't object to that at all. And it doesn't make him hypocritical because, for example, need you desire a trait in order to desire said trait in your partner?
What do you mean? What was the question again?
That was a lot. Hold on. I got you. So in order for you to desire a trait in a partner, do you need to also possess said trait?
I feel like I desire similar things to my previous partners. Or I have the traits. Like,
Okay,
sure. You know, like not opposites attract, like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it.
But here's what occurs to me, right? Is that women desire traits in men that they don't possess themselves. So I don't think, now it would be hypocritical, for example, if a guy said, I think promiscuity is disgusting, but then they are promiscuous themselves. Or if they were outwardly judgmental of a promiscuous woman, but they themselves engaged in promiscuity. But if a man, for example, he had slept with, he's 30 and he slept with 40 women. Again, not recommending you do that, but let's say he did. I don't object to him saying, well, I would like to date a woman who's a virgin or who's slept with less than 5 people.
But why would he want that?
Because he realizes that's going to be an optimal partner for him. So despite the lack of his own low body count, it doesn't make him a hypocrite. It would be a hypocrite if he says, his actions were, for example, well, I'm negatively judging your behavior, but I engage in said behavior. But desiring a trait in a partner that you do not, for example, having a low body count.
I get what you're saying, but a lot of these men that have a high body count and want a woman with a low body count don't recognize that they shouldn't have a high body count. They're still promiscuous, they're still cheating, they're still fucking around, they're still doing all these things that they shouldn't be doing.
Well, we can also approach this from another angle. So there's a biological and evopsych reason for why men find non-promiscuity in women attractive and desirable that doesn't exist in women. But so I would argue even a guy who's actively promiscuous, he may very well still find sexually pure or low body count women attractive.
Are you sexually
promiscuous? They want them at home in the kitchen fixing up sandwiches while they're out with these other promiscuous women and cheating with other promiscuous
And again,
women.
I'm not making the case that men should be promiscuous, but
they are.
For example, if a man had a body count of 20, for example, I don't object to him wanting to date a woman with a low body count.
Yeah, of
low
course.
Low body count under 10 or low body count under 5?
He could want a virgin if that's totally fine.
Yeah,
that's totally fine.
So
now here's
that's
why.
What I feel like it's hypocritical.
It's not hypocritical. Let me ask you a question.
So if let me
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question though. Let me ask you a clarifying question. Do you think it's hypocritical for a woman who's not funny to desire a man who's funny?
Yes, because then she can become funny.
But how many? But I would argue that you ask most women will say, I find men who can make me laugh attractive. I find that attractive. But what if they lack hold on. What if they lack the capacity to be humorous or to make their partner laugh? Are they wrong? Are they hypocrites for finding humor attractive in a partner? And I would say no.
Morals and humor are two completely different things, though.
No,
yeah,
but honestly, I feel like it is.
I'm not even looking at it from that framework.
You're not
I'm
even
looking
going to
at
get his humor. If they're two different people, like they're not going to be compatible.
Oh, I disagree. I don't think that's necessarily true. A woman need not be funny to desire a man who's humorous or funny. And I don't think that, now she perhaps ought to have a sense of humor. That's something different though. Because you can have a sense of humor. That's your ability to perhaps detect humor. Doesn't mean you're going to be funny, but you might certainly recognize humor in somebody else. I could give you other examples. A woman wants a man who's charismatic, but maybe she's not charismatic herself. She wants a man who's chivalrous, but she's not chivalrous herself.
Yeah, but
she wants a
that's
man
different.
who's tall, but she's not tall. She wants a man who's traditional, but she's not traditional. She wants a man who's dominant, but she's not dominant.
It's
What you're stating though are physical attributes. For example, tall,
Being
short.
funny?
No, yeah.
Being
I mean,
charismatic?
you're either born funny
That's-
or you're born not funny.
Well, that's arguable, but
However, depending on the people that you sleep with, or for example, what was the other thing you said? You said sleep with. Anyways,
You
sleeping
shouldn't-
with
you
someone.
shouldn't ask
Sleeping
for
with someone is
something
a
you can't.
choice. A choice that you make that
Okay,
can
so
reflect
behavioral.
reflect back onto your morals. It's not, oh my gosh, he's tall, I'm short, I want a tall guy. It's different. Reflecting on morals, it's the way you think, the way you talk, the way you act, the way you make your choices. It's not, oh, this person's tall, but I'm short, I want that person. That's a physical type. I feel like a body count is more of a mental type. That's how you connect with someone, and you can't connect with someone if you don't have the same values or the same morals, personally.
I suppose if you're looking at it through the lens of this moral framework, I'm simply looking at it.
Candid Answers donated $100. It is hypocritical because their actions are directly contributing to the lack of other men being able to achieve the same thing.
Well, I mean, that's another conversation. So you have men who say, well, high body or women with a high body count is bad, or having a high body count is bad, but if they're engaging in casual sex with women, adding to their high body count, but that's another conversation.
That
But
too,
so,
like,
but
You have a point when you were saying that though, when like, okay, well, if he's fucking around with other girls and stuff, and then it's like, oh, but you have to have a low body count, but I'm gonna still have sex with other women. Like, that's their actions, you know. But it's like, okay, well, I've had, you know, a big body count, you know, I've been with a lot of women, but I'm not anymore, and it's, if you have a low body count, then that's what I want, you know. And at the end of the day, it's his opinion, and you know, I feel like.
it's just.
Well, there's a couple levels to it. So
wasn't fucking around then.
if we're having a conversation about hypocrisy, again, I don't think it's hypocritical for a man to, if he has a high body count,
Yeah.
20,
I
30,
agree.
40, it's not hypocritical to desire a woman with a low body count. Then the other conversation is, well,
It's hypocritical if you're saying that, but then you're still fucking around with other women, and you expect her to not, you know,
but
do anything.
the other conversation, putting hypocrisy to the side, is, well, should a man, is he wrong for desiring a partner with a low body count or a woman who's a virgin if he himself has had 10, 20, 30 sexual partners?
No,
And I don't
feel
think
like
so.
it's
I don't
no.
think
Yeah,
no.
'cause, I mean, it's his
think the
opinion,
answer is no.
you know.
But a lot of people
No.
would object to that and say, well, if as a man, if you've slept with 30 women, you have no business dating a woman who's a virgin. And again, I object to that because, and you're saying like you're looking at it from a moral framework, but I'm looking at it from a much more simplistic way, and that is, people are allowed to desire traits in a partner that they themselves do not possess. And women do this frequently, where they want a man who's rich, but they're not rich. They want a professional athlete, but they're not a professional athlete. They want a man who's high status, but they have no status.
I'm just gonna say, as someone with
You can
a
disagree,
lower,
that's totally fine.
with a lower body count, I would never consider someone who.
Oh, that's
has-
totally fine.
It's
If a
just-
woman from
it's
her
a
end would
complete
not,
moral
that's totally
difference.
fine. Don't object to that at all. If a woman doesn't want to date a guy because of his past promiscuity or he has a body, that's totally acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's as important to women, and I certainly don't object to. The only way I would concede that we should object to men who perhaps have a high body count desiring women with low body counts is if we start objecting to poor women wanting rich men and unfunny women wanting fun. Like you're allowed to desire, both men and women are allowed to desire traits in a partner that they themselves do not possess. That's the whole basis of my argument.
I also think the asymmetry in wanting body counts just stems from the fact that there's differences in male and female sexuality, and I think that that's one of the biggest lies, whether you want to call it feminism or just like modern gender role cultures, which is the idea that men and women are the same. It's like the 50 Shades of Grey culture in the sense that women, I think that that's a very like masculine interpretation of sexuality, and women are pushed to that because we say men and women are more or less the same. So that's why I think when you see that asymmetry, that it's more normal for guys to want women with lower body counts, because I think the way women attach to guys when they sleep with them is very, very different than men can sleep with a bunch of women and not really have any emotional attachment to them.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
However,
good point.
it comes down to when people started thinking like that, what went up? The divorce rates. Before that, what were men when they were getting married? They were virgins.
It's
because it comes from a moral standpoint.
Specificity on the time frame of that.
70s and up, 60s and up. The rise of what you said earlier was the feminist movement and things like that. Birth control, normalization.
I'm just saying birth control, I think, was the main impetus that made female sexuality more similar to male sexuality, because you didn't have to worry really about getting pregnant. And I no disrespect to what you guys do, but if the pill hadn't been invented, you guys probably wouldn't have a job, or you'd have a lot of kids.